the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. An exclusive interview with Newt Gingrich seen by tens of millions, getting in a Hanukkah mood in a museum and in your home, why you might be meeting this Israeli family sometime soon, and more of the Jewish news that's changing your world right now in this episode of the Week in Review. Hello, and welcome to the Jewish Channel's Week in Review. I'm Stephen I. Weiss. The biggest Jewish news this week has been Newt Gingrich's comment in an exclusive interview with the Jewish Channel that the Palestinians are an invented people. Here's that quote. Do you consider yourself a Zionist?
Well, I believe that the Jewish people have the right to have a state, and I believe that the commitments that were made at a time, remember, there was no Palestine as a state. It was part of the Ottoman Empire. And I think that we've had an invented Palestinian people. Who are in fact Arabs, and were historically part of the Arab community.
The comment became the subject of global debate. It was roundly condemned by Palestinian leadership and the Arab League, as well as by Jewish leaders in the Democratic Party here in the United States. Gingrich found supporters for his view in the pages of the Jerusalem Post and some other Jewish right-wing venues. But Gingrich's statements were also a matter of disagreement among Republicans, Jewish and otherwise. The comments became a topic within the most recent debate in the Republican presidential primary in Iowa. Here's how that went.
Speaker Gingrich caused something of a stir overnight in the Middle East with comments he made in an interview with the Jewish Channel in which he called the Palestinians an invented people.
No, I don't agree with that, and that's just stirring up trouble.
Is what I said factually correct? Yes. Is it historically true? Yes.
I happen to agree with most of what the speaker said, except by going on and saying the Palestinians are an invented people. That, I think, was a mistake on the speaker's part. I think the speaker would probably suggest that as well. I don't think we want to... Maybe not.
Gingrich's statements have also revealed a factual divide based on politics. It has become yet another example of different sides of the political debate and the Israel debate deciding not only that they have different opinions, but that they have different facts. Ultimately, what matters most for the future of Israeli-Palestinian relations is whether comments like Gingrich's help Israelis strike a final deal. And there, too, there's disagreement. Those opposed to Gingrich's take say it is dangerous rhetoric that will make it harder to get Palestinians to the negotiating table, while those in favor of Gingrich's line point to Ronald Reagan's declaration of the Soviet Union as an evil empire as being partly responsible for the dissolution of the USSR. Gingrich had a number of other bold statements to make about the Israeli-Palestinian relationship, suggesting that there is essentially no difference between the Palestinian Authority and Hamas. The Palestinian Authority controls the West Bank and has been part of negotiations with Israel in the peace process, while Hamas is regarded as a terrorist organization by the U.S. and Israel, and U.S. and Israeli administrations have consistently refused to include them in negotiations. Gingrich told TJC of the PA and Hamas, quote, both represent an enormous desire to destroy Israel. He also said of the peace process that, quote, it's delusional to call it a peace process. The full interview with the former Speaker of the House and current GOP frontrunner is available on TJC On Demand under the news category. Clips from the interview have already been seen by tens of millions of Americans, having been aired on all the cable news channels and all the network newscasts, as well as covered in the New York Times, Politico, Washington Post, and other leading publications. Moving on to other discussions among Jewish entities and Republican primary candidates, the Republican Jewish Coalition hosted all the major candidates except one, Ron Paul. Here are the highlights.
Israel's security is critical to America's security. We must not forget it was Israel that took out the nuclear capabilities of Iraq in 1981, of Syria in 2007.
I and the United States of America will once again have Israel's back.
He visited Egypt, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Turkey. He even offered to meet with Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Yet in 3 years in office, he hasn't found the time or interest to visit Israel.
This one-sided continuing pressure that says it's always Israel's fault, no matter how bad the other side is, has to stop.
Continuing with Israeli-Palestinian news, the flag of a Palestinian state has been raised above a United Nations agency for the first time this week. The flag was raised Tuesday by Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas at UNESCO, the United Nations cultural agency, which voted to recognize Palestine as a state by an overwhelming majority in November. But as we've reported in recent weeks, the bid for Palestinian statehood will likely go no further. Because the UNESCO recognition triggered a U.S. law that will now withhold U.S. funding from UNESCO, the PA has said it won't pursue statehood recognition with other agencies that would similarly lose funding from the U.S. at the present time. And the bid for recognition as a state at the UN Security Council seems to have failed, as we reported recently, with a majority of members saying they would not vote for Palestinian statehood. But at the same time as Israel is sorting out its relationship with the Palestinians, the administration of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and many former security agency heads have been expressing increasing concern over the growth and ideology of right-wing settlers and the ultra-Orthodox. On Monday, Netanyahu spoke out against increasing gender segregation in the Jewish state, saying, quote, "The place of women in public spaces must be ensured and equal. The segregation of women clashes not just with the democratic principles that we know and cherish, it also clashes with Jewish tradition." Netanyahu also was concerned this week about physical clashes between settlers and the Israeli military. On Tuesday, members of Israel's far right and the settlement community attacked an Israeli army base in the West Bank. They threw rocks at soldiers, lit tires on fire, and attacked army vehicles. Netanyahu ordered Israeli security forces to, quote, act aggressively against the attackers, saying this incident deserves all condemnation. The security forces need to concentrate on defending our citizens and not on such outrageous lawbreaking. Within Israel's Green Line border, a different group of individuals occupied buildings near the border with Jordan to protest Israeli-Jordanian negotiations on replacing an old wooden footbridge at the Temple Mount. The occupiers had to be evacuated by Israeli security forces. Well, while the right-wing Orthodox are in the news in Israel, a famously ultra-Orthodox man here in the United States is moving in a different direction. Pop singer Matisyahu has shaved his beard. The singer, who is famously known as a Chassid, posted a picture of himself clean-shaven. He wrote on his blog, "No more Hasidic reggae superstar." He went on to say that his beard shaving was part of an effort to, quote, submit to a higher level of religiosity. And as that young pop singer is getting recognition for his facial hair, a group of Jewish rappers is being recognized for a lifetime of accomplishment. The Beastie Boys will be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2012. The Boys, known to fans as Mike D, MCA, and Ad Rock, but to their mothers as Michael Diamond, Adam Yauch, and Adam Horowitz, are famous for hits including Fight for Your Right to Party and No Sleep Till Brooklyn. The Beastie Boys have been exercising their license to ill since 1979. The induction ceremony in Cleveland, Ohio is scheduled for April. But the Beastie Boys aren't the only Jewish cultural figures excitedly declaring, "I'm telling y'all it's sabotage this week." Best-selling author Naomi Reagan has been ordered to pay roughly $250,000 to another author for plagiarizing the author's novel in Reagan's best-selling work, Sota. Reagan acknowledges she was inspired by the other work, but claims her borrowing didn't amount to plagiarism. A Jerusalem district court disagreed. The book Reagan borrowed from is Growing with My Children, A Jewish Mother's Diary by Sarah Shapiro. If you'd like to read it, you'd better hurry up. Amazon.com listed only 5 new and 13 used copies available as we went to air. Well, another famous Jewish author is applying his talents to the upcoming holiday of Hanukkah, but it's not in a book. Christian Needon explains.
Menorahs are the centerpiece in many Jewish homes during the festival of Hanukkah and can be passed down for generations, serving as a connection to the past. Some of those older menorahs are now being featured at the Jewish Museum in New York in an exhibition titled An Artist Remembers, Hanukkah Lamps Selected by Maurice Sendak. Best known for Where the Wild Things Are, Sendak also illustrated books like Zlata the Goat and In Grandpa's House that celebrated the Jewish communities of pre-World War II Europe. And for this exhibit, the museum asked Sendak to pick his favorite menorahs from their collection.
He's an artist who looks at the lamps from a different perspective, both grounded in his own family background as well as in his artistic sensitivity.
And Sendak's family played a part in his selection of these 2 lamps.
This one, the menorah shape, the standing one, is actually very similar to one that was left to him by his sister Natalie. She was his oldest sister and kind of a second mother to him. So it was very moving for him when she passed away in 2006 and left it to him. And this one is very similar to one that his parents owned and had brought from Poland. So the iconography, the motif of the lions and flanking the medallion with the menorah, he uses that also in his own art. So it's kind of ties in well with the exhibition.
To see more from the Jewish Museum exhibition, an artist remembers Hanukkah lamps selected by Maurice Sendak, please tune into the full broadcast edition of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Christian. If you're in the Hanukkah mood, you might be thinking about some appropriate presents. Meredith Gansman reports on some innovative ideas.
Along with the latkes and the dreidels, Hanukkah gift-giving is always a special treat for the holiday. And as you prepare to hit the stores, I'm going to show you a few gifts that you are not going to want to leave off your shopping list. Let's start here at American Girl in Manhattan. Follow me inside. Released in 2009 within a line of historical characters, this year the Rebecca Rubin doll is celebrating her third Hanukkah with American Girl. The company's only Jewish doll, she captures the turn-of-the-century American Jewish immigrant experience for young girls today. Rebecca Rubin is a first-generation Jewish American, and her story is set in Lower Manhattan in 1914. American Girl's senior marketing manager explained why the company wanted to introduce a Jewish doll.
The Jewish immigrants really had a large impact on our country's history. And this was a time for American Girl to tell this story, which is a wonderful story to tell because in 1914, Rebecca is having to absorb new changes in the culture by keeping strong to her traditions.
But how do today's young girls relate to a doll with Rebecca Rubin's story? Simple. Through play.
So she has so many things to play with. All of her accessories are really true. If you look at her, some of her items that you can play with, the bagel and the rugelach and the pickle, it makes a story.
Rebecca Rubin is available at AmericanGirl.org or at any American Girl store. Games always make for great Hanukkah presents, and at J. Levine Judaica, fourth-generation owner Danny Levine described the new trends in the gaming world.
I see a lot of mainstream media and games becoming Jewish.
New this year is one game that will give dreidel a run for its money.
Taboo. What's better than regular taboo? It's Jewish taboo.
For more great Hanukkah gift ideas, tune into the full broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Meredith. Finally, the state of Israel is trying many different things to get its message across these days. Now, people all around the United States have an opportunity to meet an Israeli family, and Rebecca Honig-Freeman caught up with them this week for more details.
America, meet the Israeli family, Dad Chami, Mom Oksana, and their daughters, Gali, Tamar, and Michal. Coming soon to a city near you, the picture-perfect Samach family is spending the year traveling the world over as self-appointed personal ambassadors for Israel.
We're going to be in 27 countries around the world, 4 continents.
Racking up miles and taking hearts along the way, the Tzemachs are calling their world tour the Israeli Family Project. The idea grew out of work that Tzemachs did with tourists in their hometown of Kadesh Barnea, a small community in the Negev desert where they have a business making jams and spreads.
We really saw that when people come to Kadesh Barnea, come to meet us, we share with them our story, our family story, like we do now. We let them take a look into, through our eyes, through our story, to what it is to be an Israeli. They really connect. They really can have another way to look at what it is, Israel. So 2 years ago, first we decided, okay, we want to do something bigger with it.
And so the Israeli Family Project was born. And in August, the Tzemachs set off on their world tour, starting in Greece and making their way through Europe before coming to the States.
How has this experience been for you guys traveling around the world?
That was amazing. Like, you travel and you meet new people and you talk with them about your country and they tell you about their country, and it's really incredible.
For more on the Israeli Family Project, watch the full broadcast version of the Week in Review.
Thank you, Rebecca. That's all for this week from all of us here at the Jewish Channel. Be well. The Jewish Channel is available on cable. Time Warner Cable Channel 528, IO Optimum Channel 291, RCN Channel 268, Bright House Channel 330, Verizon Fios Channel 900, Cox Channel 1, Frontier Communications, and now on Comcast Cable in the on-demand menu under Premium Channels. For more information, visit tjctv.com.